unbelievable operational manager in Hemon Media Group, one of the leaders in e-commerce, which I really know.
We needed to have media buyers replicate a process that we knew worked, spending 15, 20,000 in a day. I have accounts that spend in a month what people pay for their houses and take 30 years to pay, 500,000, 600,000.
Hello and welcome to Ecom Business podcast. Anatoliy is here, and today I'm welcoming my amazing friend and wonderful person who I know for a while and has not incredible human being things, but he's as well unbelievable operational manager in Hemon Media Group. His name is Isaac Tobelen, and he is doing and managing over 5 million ad spent on the advertising platforms together with Hemon Media Group. Everything is going on his shoulders. His experience will show you how you can really make it something impossible in life, study the skills which you never been in before, and dominate them and become the leader in this space. One of the leaders in e-commerce, which I really know, right hand of the Ashton. He started together with him from day one, and Isaac performance just show it by itself, and he managing now 35 plus people in the Hemon Media Group. And I really want to welcome you, Isaac. You incredible. Tell me, please, how are you doing? How is your day?
Oh my God, Anatoliy, you're so kind. I love that introduction. I'm doing well. Feeling a little bit cold. I've lived in Florida for 30 years, but earlier this summer here in June of 2022, moved to Tennessee with my family to open up the official headquarters for the agency for Hemon Media Group here next to Ashton. So feeling a little bit of the seasons, but I'm enjoying it. The kids are enjoying it, and it's a pleasure to be here, Anatoliy. Thank you.
So share with us how everything has been started for you, and especially about advertising. So you're managing such a huge advertising spend on the daily basis, and it never been before in that way. Can you share a bit about your beginning and how you dive into the e-commerce space?
We can go down a rabbit hole, but I would love to, definitely give you a good storyline on how I get to where I'm at right now with Hemon Media. Part of it, chance. I personally believe that we're not fully in control. We can control the things that we can personally control, but there's a second part of life, which is opportunity and chance. And that's where you being able to be aware of who you are, where you're going, take advantage and capitalize on those opportunities. For many years, I started my career right after high school. My career was in real estate. I didn't go to college. So I started getting into real estate. I sold real estate. I got into mortgages. I was a real estate agent, mortgage broker for almost 10 years. But during that period, my wife and she wanted to open up her practice. This was around 2005, going to 2006. And she's in a holistic space, and she opened up her practice. And in late 2008, the real estate market started to crash, as everybody knows. 2008, 2009, 2010. At that point, it became very difficult. And my wife was starting her business, or in the process of growing her business. And she's like, Isaac, with everything that you know that you've learned, why don't you and I come work together? And it sounded like a dream come true, because one of the things for us as family is very important. So if we can work together on something together, it would be easier for us to actually work as a family, grow as a family. So I left real estate and came to start working on my wife's business. And one of my first things was, I remember being in front of the computer, sitting in the office, and I typed in Google specifically, how to market online, right? Because I wanted to learn more, how can I bring more people into the business? Because we had tried postcards, flyers for a traditional brick and mortar business, but never really got the results that we wanted. So I jumped online, and I remember one of the first things that I saw was one of Frank Kern's books. At that time, or the advertising, I think it was Mass Control was one of the products. Nonetheless, I get into the internet marketing space because of that, and we slowly started growing her practice. We started driving traffic to the office, and things were good. But one of the things that really, being married to an amazing woman, which is my wife, she is very purpose driven. And after doing the same thing for almost 10 years at that point, she wanted to do something different, not totally different, but how she practiced. And we got introduced to high ticket offers. And so all of a sudden, in my wife's mind and in my mind, we're like, wait, we can sell $150 consults, package it into a program, and actually sell it for $5,000. Who's paying that, right? But that's the first moment the light bulb went on, and we were like, this is actually perfect, because if we can go high ticket, close our office down and work from home doing these coaching programs, now we really got something. Because at that time, my wife was pregnant with my son. We were about to have our first baby and we wanted to be able to be there. Well, it didn't go as planned. It did not go as planned. We burned all our savings trying to figure out how to make a VSL funnel work. And we're talking about early 2014, going to 2015. And we burned all our money trying to figure out. We went from a very healthy business, brick and mortar business, to all of a sudden find ourselves figuring out how we're going to pay the bills. And I remember we got to a moment where my wife said, because she was doing the sales calls, and there's nothing more frustrating for a practitioner than to actually they don't want to be the marketers of the sales. They just want to practice their craft, right? It's good. And in this case, my wife is helping women with thyroid and autoimmune related disorders. But what happened was, in one of her last calls, I walked in and she's like, I am done. Isaac, I need a break. I don't want to do this anymore. I need you to help me. So then I was like, okay, what do we do now? So I saw a post inside of a Facebook group, and it happened to be in a consulting firm. At that time, it was Traffic and Funnels. And the post was looking for an intern for media buying. So I was like, okay, sounds like something I could do. I think I've been doing a little bit of media buying here. I didn't know it was called media buying. I was just buying ads or doing Facebook ads for my wife. So I got on with the owner. We had a good conversation. He connected me, and that's where I get to meet Ashton Shanks. He and I have a good conversation, and he said, Isaac, I think you would be a perfect fit for this. Then I jump back on with the owner, only to find out that the internship is non-paid. It's free. But at that time, I need to make money. Make money because we had exhausted our savings. I have 2 kids, barely getting by. And that night, I remember having a conversation with my wife. We're driving in our car, and she was, let's pray about it. And we prayed about it. And she's like, if this is a big consulting firm where there's good opportunities that come, let's see what can happen. So we prayed about it. I called back and I said, I'll take the intern position. Fast forward 30 days, I ended up getting the full-time job, which was phenomenal. And in that process, I get to develop a relationship with Ashton Shanks, which at that time was the director of marketing there, running and overlooking all their spend. And so I learned a lot under his guidance there. And for one reason or another, I didn't quite find that business for me, or that firm, it was the right spot for me. So it was very hard for me. And I spoke with Ashton and I told him that I'm going to part ways. It was a very difficult decision. After I gave him my 2 weeks notice, I went to go do all my thing on my own, trying to figure things out. But 1 month later, 1.5 months later, I received a call from Ashton. Ashton sends me a text, actually. It was a text.
Is it 2020? Am I right?
This is 2019. This is late
19.
2019. I get a text. I remember I was in bed. We were getting to go to church, and I get a text, and it was like Ashton Shanks. And I look at that text, and it was like a weird gut feeling about it. And I showed it to my wife, and she's like, oh, I wonder what he wants, in a very subtle voice. And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, oh my God, he's probably going to ask me to come back. I don't want to go back there, but let's see. So I discerned whether I replied to the text or not, and I replied to him, and we eventually get on a call a day later. And here's Ashton parting ways with the company as well. And he's like, Isaac, I'm going to do my own thing. It's going to be totally different. This is my vision. I want you to trust me. I think you're really good at what you do, which is media buying, and I would love for you to come work with me. So I jumped all in because I trusted in Ashton. And we started in late 2019. At that point, it was not even Hemon Media. It was just Ashton and Shanks Consulting, I think it was. But then in that spring, right when COVID really hit hard, we incorporated. The company became Hemon Media. I went from managing one account, spending $700 a day, to managing up to 6, I think maybe even 7 accounts, managing almost $1 million a month in ad spend personally. And we started getting more clients. The team started growing. And then it was more of okay, now we have to train the people that are coming in. And our biggest challenge was training those people. But as we figured that out, I grew into my role, and almost 18 months later, 2 years later, I'm his right-hand man running the operations for Hemon Media. So that's how we get here. And we can talk everything operations, but just wanted to share that part on how we get to this spot.
I love that story because I have heard that from Ashton's side, I have heard that from you in the past, but the thing is that right people find out themselves on the right position, the right time, and create an amazing product. That's fact. And you're right that I would love to hear a lot about the operations and media buying as well, because we have a lot of listeners who are actually media buyers or doing any kind of e-commerce business by themselves. And that would be wonderful to hear. We'll go there. Let's start from the beginning. When you were together, you said you start running at 700 a day, one ad account, and move to a couple of ad accounts, like 5, 6, with the millions spent a month. How does you feel? What was the feelings that moment, and how fast the transition happened to you?
Oh my goodness. So being a big sports fanatic, I've always grown up playing sports, and media buying at that point became the closest to exhilarating that I can feel playing sports. I would love to get on another podcast because I think we have so much to explore. I think that your listeners will probably enjoy in rediscovering who you are and your talents and your strengths. But media buying was exhilarating. There was nothing that felt as exciting as on a Black Friday, putting a campaign, you found a winning ad, a winning audience, putting a bid cap, a cost cap, spending 15, 20,000 in a day. Exciting. One of the things that I had the opportunity is I had learned from Ashton in the previous company. And so those learnings I brought back, and that's how we operated internally inside of Hemon. But it was never fully fleshed out in the structures and the processes of what made us great. So Ashton went ahead and developed what now people know as Hemon X. We had to develop a process where we can have media buyers come in and learn our process. Because if we needed to grow, we needed to have media buyers replicate a process that we knew worked. So that's where Hemon X came to be. And in a very structured way, we're able to teach media buyers how to go from zero to scaling within a few weeks, within a few days, depending on the account. And that right there is where we found our success. Because one of the things that Ashton and I did really well is not only were we media buyers, we knew how to write copy. We knew how to look at funnels and determine and diagnose, do we have a marketing problem or do we have a media buying problem? And we're able to grab that information and go into the ad account and attack the account from a media buying perspective or from a marketing perspective that allowed us to scale multiple accounts, several $1,000s a day. And using that same process, our media buyers started replicating that and finding very similar success. We had a guy that had never spent more than, I think it was like $1,000 a month, and all of a sudden spending $15,000 a day in some accounts because there was a process for it. In the height of thing, or the best media buyers, they have a process that they follow. But one of the things that I realized, what truly makes an amazing or savage, like Ashton likes to call him, a savage media buyer, is at some point you start to learn to use your intuition, because you know exactly how the ad account's going to behave, what it's going to do. And so you operate at a speed a lot faster than a traditional media buyer that's only data driven. And that's how we get to grow the agency as a whole, and the speed that we're able to grow it. We went from zero, or just myself and Ashton, to 35 plus team members in just 2 years across the board. And it's thanks to a system that was put in place for how to actually run high spends at scale.
Moving from the low spend to the high spends, I remember my feelings at the beginning, and I can see from hundreds of people. I used to do a mentorship for other people before. I had a lot of students, and plus we have clients in our agency and media buyers as well, we were teaching when they come. What they have in their mind is the mindset of being scared spending money. Like, oh my God, we spending $100. No, I cannot, like 150. All of them has scarcity in their mind that I cannot spend more. they have limitations. They put limitations to themselves and done. Or like a product. Oh no, this product is like $100. Nobody will buy that online. No trust. We need to sell $29.99 something. If we're speaking like a dropshipping model, we choosing the product. I say go with high tickets because there is a more margin, more room to play. Upsells will give us even more higher ROI or AOV. Like just go there and do XYZ. Or can we reduce the price? They scared. I mean, that's thing which I have seen from majority of people who are beginners. And I believe why most of like maybe 99% of the agencies are not scaling that hard like you guys, just because this kind of limitation problem is in the head of the media buying team. And just recently we have a great call with the media buying, with whole media buyers, with the whole department. And we discussed with the newest people in the team, what exactly is the problem of the limitation, you know, that limitation in the mind, it's number one thing why you are not getting great results. Because if you have that kind of limits, you're going to be always staying on the same level or even dying off. And that's what I believe the number one thing for media buying. You shouldn't be scared, and the sky is the limit. If you understand that, then you are able to scale further every single time.
I agree with what you're saying is, I think fear is okay to have. I think fear is a natural mechanism for you to be aware and before you take the next step.
But it shouldn't be stopped.
But I think what we,
you know,
it should not
be
stop, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So when I talk to my team members, to my media buyers, acknowledging the fear is the first step, not avoiding it. If you feel scared, let's talk about it. Why is it? The majority of the time is because they're going into territories that they're not knowing. They've never, sometimes you have accounts that are spending in a day what sometimes a person makes in a single year as a salary, right? I have accounts that spend in a month what people pay for their houses and take 30 years to pay, 500,000, 600,000. When you put that relation, it's for a person that's never seen that, it's hard for them to make that connection and it overwhelms them. So that's where mentors that have been there before can show them the way to process that. It's very important. And it's important that when you have, or you're developing your media buying team, the head of that team has been there, has done that, because you can never ask someone to do something that you've never done with greatness, right? So going back to your point about fear, 100% is the number one reason that holds them back. The reason they have fear is because they don't know what's on the other side. As a mentor, as a guide, it's your job to give them the confidence based on where they're at right now to just take the next step and take the next step and take the next step. There's a saying is, I forget who says, it's like, you don't have to see the whole staircase to go to the top. You just need to take the next step. Media buying is kind of like that when you get started. It's like, what's the next step? Because fear gets reduced the moment that you start understanding more. The more data your mind has, the easier it's to make decision. And so slowly that fear starts to come about, the confidence starts to come out. And all of a sudden, hopefully you develop a media buyer that's aggressive enough to be able to scale these accounts to whatever the amount may be.
That's exactly like what usually happens to the people's mind. And our job is just to bring them on the right mindset, I would say. And especially like fear is fear, but like limitation, like they have seen the numbers, oh, like someone is doing 100K a day, but yeah, you can do that as well. Like they just looking on the pictures, but they don't believe that they can be on that level. So according to that, how exactly you are training your team? How did you become a great on what you are on operations, that you not just doing by yourself a great job on the media buying, but as well you hire the people and train them, which is you just mentioned that you build a great system. How the system looks like and what exactly allowed them to make this kind of transition in a matter of months, as you mentioned, from the limited people, average media buyers to the great killers on this space. What exactly the bullet points on your end?
One, I'll go backwards, start with what I believe made me great and how we're Ashton great, and how we transition that into a system with the step-by-step for our media buyers. Having a system of purchasing media on whatever, doesn't matter the platform, is crucial. Why? Because if you get lost at any time and not sure where the account is at, if you don't have a system in place, that can show you where to start again, you're going to lose the account. But if you have a framework of like, okay, nothing's working, let me start from the foundation, you can always restart and build back up. I found myself many times lost in the wilderness in an ad account, like not knowing what's going to work, what's working, why it's working. And I learned this from Ashton. It's like, if you ever get lost in that sense, burn everything down. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid of tearing everything down to rebuild it. I've done it many, many times. But in the same token, it's once you build it and it works, one of the things that makes a really good media buyer is looking for patterns. Patterns. When you can find patterns in how things behave, it's easy for you to spot opportunities inside an ad account. And one of the things that we teach our media buyers is observe. There are times when I was running ads when I would just stare at the ad account. I would have all my columns, my CPCs, my CTRs, my outbound clicks, my CPMs, my frequencies, my AOVs. I would open in the widest form possible and I would just stare at it, sometimes for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just staring at it. And I wasn't necessarily looking for specific data. I was like, what stands out over this last 7 days, over this last 14 days? And the minute that I would identify, I was like, okay, I get it. And I will grab that and put it to use and execute on it, right? Whether that be, it's like this specific ad with this specific headline works the best, right? Or this time of day for this ad account works the best. So I can throttle my spend for the first half and then I can really push in the afternoon. Patterns like that, right? So both Ashton and I became really good at that. And so when we started breaking it down to as we were hiring media buyers, it's like, okay, how do we teach them that? Let's start with the fundamentals. So whenever we bring on a media buyer into our team, we usually don't hire brand new media buyers. We hire people that have some knowledge of the advertising platforms, right? Because that's a whole nother thing to train people on. But if you have knowledge of advertising platform and you have the characteristics of a good media buyer, we can train everything else, right? So let's start there. So when we're hiring people, we're looking for people that have a mindset of a marketer that knows how to buy media, and it's looking to develop the media buying skill set with us. Because we want to hire marketers, not media buyers only. That's what made us good, that's what made us great, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
That's a great point.
When we bring someone in, before anybody even touches an account, they have to go through our internal program, which we have as a ticket offer for the market. But our media buyers go through our own program, Hemon X, where we teach them exactly how to go from start, which is a phase 0, which is assuming you have 0 data in the account. What do? How do you start? Right? Then going into a phase 1, which is proper audience farming. How do you actually find the right audiences off of that phase 0? Or if you have an account with some data, how do you validate the audiences that you have? Once you validate that audience, how do we move into a phase 2 where now it's like where the fun part begins, which is like, how do I actually talk to this audience and what's the best messaging? What's the best hook? What's the best headline? What's the best creative? What are they resonating with? Are they problem aware? Are they solution aware? Are they brand new? Are they unaware as a whole? Which part of my messaging is working the best? And we do that in a phase 2. That's the part that actually makes Hemon Media really successful, because that's where most of our media buyers spend the most time, which is the marketing part of it. Whenever you have already validated your audiences, that's the easy part. Now it's like, are you sophisticated enough as a media buyer to be able to talk to that audience through your ads? And once you find that sophistication or that market awareness or level with the right audience, how do you actually take it into a phase 3 and scale it either through CBOs and big budgets, or CBO with cost caps, or CBO with bid caps? Now the mechanics of media buying come back into play. Right? So we have a little bit of media buying at the beginning, more like how do we identify audiences and winning ads. Then we spend a good portion, 80% of our portion, like developing the marketing arguments or sophistication of that audience to deliver the results. And then we have marketing, media buying tactics again in phase 3, which is like, how do you scale that message? We take them through that process all the time as they come in. And then we start them with one ad account, usually our smallest spending ad account, to start testing because usually what happens is the media buyers come with their own style of buying. So we want to make sure that we correct and reframe their thinking as they come in so that they're looking at the ad account from the same way that I would look at that account, Ashton, or any of my senior media buyers. Because if anything breaks and they come to me, they come to Ashton, they come to a senior media buyer, it's like, hey, something's broken, I don't know. I could immediately say, what phase are you in? And he tells me, I'm in phase 2. I go, awesome. He's working on marketing and he's struggling with the marketing. But if he's telling me I have trouble with phase 3, I have trouble with phase 1, I'm like, okay, could be media buying related. Let's take a look what's going on here. But we have the same language that we operate in, and that exchange or facilitates the coaching and the mentoring, which then accelerates the development of that media buyer. And that's how they're able to begin taking an account and start scaling it.
That's really I not even forget to mention, but it's something what important to make the point from what you said. To being a great media buyer, it's not just being a great person who just pressing the buttons on the laptop. Being great media buyer, it's being a great marketer. If you are not a marketer, and it's actually what is Human X program teaching, guys, is that really being a marketer, to understand the audience, to build the avatar, to analyze if they are really solution aware, problem aware, or they are not aware at all. That's a real something what is, I would tell you, most of the marketers are not doing. They are not going that deep. They just finding basic things, which is the best angle, what people speaking about. Even majority of the media buyers not going that deep to find out the avatar. I mean, you see, it's like 10 heads ahead of the average process. And that's a wonderful point, actually, that they must be a great marketers. And according to that, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The process you training them, I understand you giving them this smaller account, you teaching them how to become the better person that they are to be able to manage all this spend. But what about all this research process, all this creative, concept analytics and on itself? Because most probably it's exactly what media buying doing on your end. How the structure of the media buying team looks like, who is delivering to whom, what kind of copies, landing pages, and so on. How exactly you're managing that process?
Oh, that's such a good question, because you're asking me this question in a very pivotal time in the growth of our agency, where the system that we built as a team, it's going to begin shifting, because one of the things that what got us here is our media buyers able to write copy, media buy, even connect and have conversations with our partners, right? But what you realize at scale as you're growing, and it happens in every business, your generalists, which are a really good resource when you start, because you want to be able to have somebody that's able to do a little bit of everything, right? But as you grow, you start noticing that you have to have people specialize in the roles. So with that said, our structures are going to start shifting, but the core way in which we fulfill, it's not. And let me explain. So right now, the way that we have is once a partner comes on, we have a fulfillment system with our account manager that reaches out to the partner, and they deliver all the assets that we need. From ad accounts, do they have avatar sheets or research sheets that they've done on their own? Pixels, pages, everything that we're gonna need to run our account. From there, we have a 5-day process. Once we receive that information from the partner, my senior media buyer assigns the account to one of my media buyers who's best fit to run that offer based on experience that we have. That media buyer will then go and begin the research process of empathy mapping, market research, look at the ad account, what has worked historically in the last 30, 60, 90 days, and start creating a picture of where the brand is. This takes a couple of days. And then on day 4, they connect with my senior media buyer, my account manager, to go over the findings and agree with the strategy that is best fit for the client based on the information that we have. On day 5, we go to market. But right before we go to market, we have a call with the partner to discover or reveal our findings. And we validate a few things. We validate their KPIs. We validate the audience and their messaging based on our research. Because what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're fully aligned with what the business think they're going after and what we're getting on our back end with our own research. Because even the information sometimes that comes from partners or clients can be a little bit biased. But us being a third party with our own research, we can come and validate or say, hey, this is what we found. Is this something that you want to shift to with your messaging? Or is this the messaging that you want to continue? Because then that's going to dictate how we launch in the account. So on day 5, we go live to the market with traditionally a baseline campaign. What we want to do is we want to validate exactly what's going on right now in the market for that specific offer, for that specific audience. So that then we can see, okay, has there been a shift in the market based on when we're taking over the account versus what it was when the client has come? Because things change so fast. There could be a shortage in supply chain. There could be a political event somewhere, and all that triggers and affects at a macroeconomical level how things react on the Facebook, on the Google, on the TikTok landscape, right? So we launch a baseline campaign to say, okay, cool. Everything that we launched, the audiences, the messaging, the product, everything lines up to what it's been here. Now that we have confirmed data, let's go ahead and start having fun. Let's start testing in our phase 2s. Let's start creating more marketing arguments, change the creative, play with the hooks, play with the headlines, and let's start really moving and start scaling that account. So that's what happens from when a client comes in over a 5-day period with our media buyers and everywhere. So you have an account manager that has the relationship part. We have a senior media buyer that's overlooking that. I don't like to call them junior media buyers in our team because they're really, really good. They're just under the guidance of someone else, but they in their own right are really well and sophisticated. So they overlook a media buyer, and between those 3 people, we have the fulfillment to the partner, from the market research to the ad campaigns. And then our creative team is in the background supporting those 3 people, the senior, the account manager, and the media buyer, with any requests that they're going to need to fulfill on those campaigns.
Awesome. And about the media buyers, on this end, they have to be done their own research as well. That's a great way. And I would call, you're right, that junior, especially when they doing this, when managing kind of high spend, it doesn't sound that great treat to the team, but it could call like project manager who is managing the media buyers. I mean, but still the process looks awesome, especially when you're growing. And I feel on myself as well, on my side, that more attention has to be to the details. So by one person focusing on what he is doing exactly and provide him additional hands who are going to be helping communicate with the partners, who are going to be helping create the creatives or product description, copywriting, anything. So it's a great point that when you're growing, really you have to narrow down your focus for the small details and divide it between the different people. 100% agree with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Exactly.
What kind of difference, one of the last questions for you, like what was the difference for you from the being a media buyer, managing several accounts, and become a chief operating officer who is just managing several people and they are doing the things what you've done before by themselves? So becoming from the person who were implementing to the person who is looking over and managing. What was the biggest shift in mind on your end and how that was for you?
Just like you said in your question, is making a transition from being the person that's actually doing the task to delegating the task is a huge mindset shift. There's a lot of trust that you're passing on to the person that you're delegating that task to, in hopes that they can do it as good as you can. The truth is, that we're all uniquely built. We do things in different ways. And so as you scale, some of that knowledge transfer gets diluted a little bit, right?
I feel you.
But I've had to work really, really hard to be able to trust. And if they can do 70 or 80% of what I was able to do, then I think we've got a winning system. But for me, the hardest part was being able to hold myself back into jumping into ad accounts, into jumping into client calls, right? Hoping that they're doing the right thing. But your hedge against that is making sure that you're building the structures of your team in a way that the information that you're sharing with your leads or your media buyers flows and stays as consistent as possible. So right now, what we have internally is I meet 2 times a week with my team leads, my senior media buyers, my account managers, and my operations internally, right? And every week we discuss what are we seeing inside the agency? Where are the biggest challenges? Where are the biggest opportunities? What are the problems? How can we solve them? And so we come together and put a strategy in place, and that information from them then goes down to the rest of the team, to our media buyers, to our copywriters, to our creatives. That structure has worked for us. So all in all, it's what's helped me is one, I had to become really aware of not wanting to jump in because it did 2 things. It prevented me from moving forward because as you grow, and if you're a small business owner right now, as you grow, your biggest needle movers are the ideas that you create more than the tasks. But delegating those tasks it's also very important. And how you do that, you have to have a system in place where those ideas can flow down in the most consistent way so that your vision or your task comes through your team.
When you were saying, hold myself back from the jumping into the account or on the call with the clients, I was feeling your, not even pain, but frustration. I mean, I remember back in 2020 when we started growing the team and I decided to hire the managers who are going to be managing the project, managing the teams instead of me. And I remember I was in every single chat with the client. I was managing some clients and I was having 1 employee for 1 year. And after that, we become 12 in the short period of time. And the most difficult was to delete myself from the chats. I was in every single chat. I was checking every single message. It was incredible hard just to bring myself out from it and listen in the reporting on the internal management calls, what exactly is happening and how we're gonna handle it, managing, and what's the next steps. And I feel you. I really feel you. Like that's exactly the biggest challenge when you transition from implementing to delegate the tasks to someone else. And the hope is there that they will go in the long run, they're gonna be even doing better than you. Because obviously by delegating on someone else media buying, you are still having your skills. You're still more experienced than they are. You're gonna be jumping on the account. You're gonna be guiding them if they lost in somewhere. But in the same time, they are doing that on the daily basis and you are not anymore. And in the long run, really, you can feel yourself like, oh my God, those guys are even better than me. And that means like
that is truly the gift. That is truly the gift. You're absolutely right. When you see somebody do stuff that you've done in the past and they're doing it better, it's actually very rewarding to see. So you're absolutely right. Absolutely.
And you invest your soul, you invest your time, you invest your energy on the person, and he just show up what you were not even could expect. And that's wonderful. I mean, it's always warm in the heart. I agree on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, wonderful, Isaac. Just one thing that we are running out of time, and from what I just heard, and there is a lot of subjects which we can discuss with you because of your experience, because of team which you are managing, and you one of the leaders on the market in our space. But from this podcast, really awesome to understand that when you're growing, you shouldn't be scared to delegate your task to someone else. And especially you shouldn't put any kind of limitation for yourself, otherwise you won't be able to grow. So I believe listeners who are going to be listening our podcast and or watching on YouTube will get a lot of insights from what you were saying. And maybe they would love to ask you some questions. Do you mind if you'll place your information under our podcast, just like where they can reach out to you, email, website, or Instagram? What would you prefer? What kind of a channel is the best for you?
I think my name is pretty unique. So Isaac Tobelen, find me on Facebook or social, or follow or friend me on Facebook. Our main website is thehemongroup.com. So if you want to email me directly, more than happy to answer any questions. It'll be isaact@thehemongroup.com. And if I don't get to you quick enough, please forgive me. Inbox does get filled up quite a bit, but I promise I will. And there's nothing more than I love to support and to serve. So if you want to follow, send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you feel comfortable in, I'll be there for you.
And I would say it's true. Isaac is the person who is helping. He is not just talker. He is really a person who is doing what he's saying. I love that to hear. And I have a last question to you, which I ask in every single person who is attending the podcast. What's for you more important, the journey or end result?
It's a very good question, because when I was younger, I thought it was the destination. But as I get older and wiser, and I've had my own personal challenges that I've fallen a million times. And that's why I'm saying I think I would love for us to talk about this, because I think this is very important too. But as I've gone and fallen many, many times, sometimes small, sometimes big, you truly understand that happiness only happens if you understand the struggle that you were able to overcome. So if you're not struggling, there's no way that you could be happy, because real happiness comes from being able to get up and overcome those struggles and look back and you say, wow, I was able to do that. I grew and I'm ready for the next challenge. And that's how you build your capacity. That's how you're able to do more. And that's how you ultimately became able to fulfill on your purpose as you grow.
So you choose journey.
Journey, sir. Yes, absolutely the journey.
I love that answer. Amazing. So that was Isaac Tobelen, and I'm really thank you and appreciating for your time. That was wonderful information provided, and looking forward for our next podcast. So guys, ask questions in the comments, and then maybe there we'll find out another subjects which we're gonna record the new podcast for the new subjects together with Isaac. Thank you, Isaac, for your time, and have a great day.
Thank you for having me, Anatoliy. Appreciate it.